Did my dirty, smarmy stuff. In fact, I was doing HBO stuff all the time. Comic Relief. I shoved a camera down my pants and had a groin camera. And I went into the audience, pulled down my zipper, and I did the point of view of my thing.
And if you have to explain why these 7 particular people are on that little boat, it would be boring every week.
Rumor that generated out of this was so much bigger than life that I've spent a lot of time just kind of downplaying it.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of The Theme Machine. I'm John Carney. Glad you found us again. And on this program, armed only with a theme, we share some visits with people that fit the framework. We kicked things off last time with the problems at Woodstock. This time, it's some of your favorite sitcoms from the past. Television has cranked out so many, this was a pretty tall order, which is why this will be a two-parter. So, before we get canceled or go into reruns, let's get this thing started. Barney Miller debuted in 1975 and is held up as one of the best cop show sitcoms ever. The show ran for 8 years, and so much of that success was due to the incredible cast, led by the precinct's captain, Barney Miller, a.k.a. Hal Linden.
Why do you think there hasn't been a good, funny cop show since Barney Miller?
Since Barney Miller? I don't know. We may have set the bar too high. I like to think. I'm sure if there hasn't been, there will be. Brooklyn 999 tried it, I think. Maybe not as I don't think as successfully as Barney, but they're still trying. It's not easy to do a funny show, period.
Tell me about it.
But there have been a lot of very good television since. It isn't as if I'm not a big good old days guy. I think good old days is tomorrow.
The next one.
So there's plenty of good television, plenty of funny television still to watch.
Yeah, but I think, when people talk about televisions and shows and casts, the cast of Barney Miller is the one they hold up as probably one of the best ensembles for one reason or another.
I'll agree with you there. And that was master casting on the part of the producers and on the production staff of Barney Miller. Master casting. If you will notice, particularly in the original cast that started, there were no comedians. Today, you find a comedian, you write a sitcom about him, or at least for the last 20, 30 years, that's the way they've been doing it. But Barney was written by writers and executed by actors, not by comedians. That's probably one of the reasons it held up this long.
Was Landisberg not a comedian before Barney Miller?
But Landisberg came in I think in the year 4. Landisberg was not the original, nor was Ronnie Carey. They were both stand-up comics, but actors as well. But I mean, your basic Abe Vigoda was not a comedian; he was an actor. Max Gale was not a comedian; he was stage-proven actor. Ron Glass, who just died, was classically trained. He came from the Guthrie Theater in Minneapolis. So we treated it as seriously as we could. We dealt with crazy people, funny people, but the squad, the cops, were straight as an arrow. That may be one of the reasons there hasn't been a straight cop show, a good cop show since, or a funny cop show since, because the tendency is to treat things to kind of go along with the comedy, and you lose the reality. Once you lose the reality, I don't know where you are.
And there was only one Jack Sue.
And Jack Sue? Jack was a stage actor, musical performer. Jack Sue was once called the Chinese Bing Crosby. You know that?
I've been called that, actually, and I'm not. I'm not even Asian, which is weird.
There you go. And, well, he wasn't Chinese, but that was his billing, the Chinese Bing Crosby, back in the day when he started as a recruiter.
Captain Barney, as we look at sitcoms this week on the Theme Machine, we have to highlight some of the families. Right atop that list is the Brady Bunch, and this show hit the airwaves right as America was ushering out the 60s. The country was due for some wholesomeness, and a blended family of 3 boys, 3 girls with a mom and dad delivered. The eldest kid, Greg, was played by Barry Williams, and although other family shows have come along, the Bradys have managed to stick around.
One of the Brady stats that jumped out and blew me away is that the program, 33 years ago, I guess, starting, it's never been off the air, and all 117 episodes have aired more than 100,000 times.
That's a lot of reinforcement in one character, I'll tell you that. It's true.
In talking to some people from shows of that era, one thing, and it's been a pro for some and a con for others, but when you're captured forever as a 19-year-old or an 18-year-old, because that's what they're seeing of you every day, how hard is it for you to be you as an adult?
Well, it's not hard for me. Because,
well, as far as
I'm never confused.
Perception.
I think one of the differences with our show is that we had so many subsequent reunions that people, many people, kind of watched us grow up, and so they know the difference. I think it's tougher for kids who don't realize the show's actually being rerun. They think it's in its first run instead of syndication. We have the distinction of being the highest-rated Hollywood true story of the entire history of the network.
I don't doubt it. I mean, and we've had I was listening to the last 2 hosts on the air here, and when they said you were going to be on the show, all they said is, and listen in because I hope he talks about the Florence Henderson thing. Ha ha, nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
That is nuts. It's so weird.
Is that the one thing that everybody hits you with?
Yes, and still, which I find kind of, I guess there's a fascination about it, and I'll run through it once for you here. The deal is that the rumor that generated out of this was so much bigger than life that I've spent a lot of time just kind of downplaying it, because I wrote in Growing Up Brady, my book about those years, about the years of growing up and what it was like being in front of the cameras, a chapter called, tongue-in-cheek, Dating Your Mom. And that is because I had a crush on Florence Henderson and thought about her romantically, which a lot of teenage kids do, and she happened to play my mom on TV. So I got up the gumption and the nerve to ask her to go out on a date. And she accepted. She knew that I was, kind of, flirting with her and stuff like that.
Wasn't she kind of married?
Totally married.
Okay.
5 kids. 4 kids. 4 kids of her own. So, and twice my age. So I don't think it was about that for her. It was certainly for me. But it's really a sweet story about me fumbling around trying to be James Bond and not knowing, having any of the savvy or savoir-faire of being out and tipping waiters and finding the right seat and carrying on an adult conversation. And I just barely had my driver's license and stalling the car and stuff like that.
Did you make her breakfast?
I did not make her breakfast, but I did get a very warm kiss at the end of the evening. No tongue.
See, I was always an Alice guy. I don't know. I mean, you were one of the older kids on the show. Were you probably the oldest? Weren't you
the oldest kid?
The oldest kid? Was there a certain, plus the longest actor as far as the children went, were you protective of them off the set? Because I'm sure you found out early on, probably even before Growing Up at Brady, that there's a lot of people who want to be your friend because of what you do and not who you are.
In a lot of ways, our real lives mirrored the show because I was the older brother, so I did have that kind of protective quality. I think while Florence Henderson and Robert Reed never pretended to be our real parents, they were very supportive and in some ways took on kind of a parental tone, except on our date, of course.
Dirty little boy.
And I'm not saying that Ambi Davis ever really, would come by and dust the bedroom just because she wanted to stay in character. But in many ways, the dynamic did extend, and we spent more time together as the Brady Bunch during parts of the years than we did with our own families.
Maureen McCormick, even after she got hit in the nose with the football and it swelled up like Jimmy Durante. She was still hot.
She came back.
And obviously, we can tell you've got a pulse. Did you guys have breakfast in the morning?
Yes, we dated on and off for a couple 3 years.
Do you think you could have done that today because of the access that the tabloids have?
No, probably not. We had rumors and stuff, but I don't think we had near the spotlight that they have now.
Were you able to go out and go to the store without photographers around and that insanity?
Yeah, without photographers, yeah, people were always gawking. But remember, we toured a lot. So we were out in different cities and, in the same cars and, going around and exploring life and doing all that stuff.
What were you making an episode at 15 years old?
Oh, about $500,000. And it was different then.
$500,000 what?
$1,100.
An episode?
Yeah.
That's huge.
It was big. It was pretty good, You do 22 of them, so how much is that? Almost $30,000. And a little less.
Well, at 14, that's
spending a lot.
That's a lot of beef jerky and gum.
I'm John Carney, and this is the Theme Machine. This time around, it's the sitcoms. And we jump from the Bradys of the 60s to the Tanners of the late 80s. Full House told the story of young Danny Tanner, who was tasked with raising his 3 daughters alone. Well, not exactly alone. He had help from his best friend Joey and brother-in-law Jesse. Danny was played by the late Bob Saget, who also hosted one of those trip and fall videos. He also was a touring stand-up comedian who, for people that didn't know him, were a bit shocked as to how blue he was on stage. But having known him for some time, I knew better. All the while, even after the show's conclusion, Full House continues to run to this day.
Full House was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I would think, and I want to get
I have
back
to curse now for about 4 more years just to get over it.
Well, the show,
I love the show, by the way. I will not trash the show.
All the time, man.
It's a family show. Nothing wrong with it. Thank you.
Manson
Great
family.
show.
What?
You really had a long stretch of saccharine.
You can see it from here?
No, it's just the way you're sitting.
Well, no, I got the job. I didn't quit because you don't quit. They blow you up like McLean Stevenson in a helicopter,
right.
And it was a nice family show, and I knew what it was. It was frustrating sometimes, but, I knew I would go on and do work that I found fun.
That was a family show.
Right, and the
America's
videos,
Funniest
yes,
Home
the jokes
Videos.
were fairly lame. They were lame. It was written by 2 Canadians with me, so the jokes were 18% less funny.
Did you ever get to?
If I did the jokes I found funny, they would have fired me in about a week.
Did you ever?
Because I would have grabbed my
Did you ever get to?
But if you watch the show, you can feel in me, I'm saying, help me.
Were you able to sneak out after tape?
I did my dirty, smarmy stuff. In fact, I was doing HBO stuff all the time. Comic Relief. I shoved a camera down my pants and had a groin camera. And I went into the audience, pulled down my zipper, and I did the point of view of my thing.
Did the network come down and say,
nobody
look,
cared.
Don't
I did
do
an
this,
HBO
Bob.
special where I said the F word a ton of times. I mean, during both of those shows. So I was kind of being validated throughout, but you had to go look for that, Otherwise, if you just watch those 2 things in reruns, you just think I'm Dean Jones on a Fizzy.
And it will go forever, won't it?
It will go way after I'm way gone, and aliens will watch it and go, that guy wasn't funny.
Did you get a better deal than, say, Gilligan? As far as reruns?
Yeah, I believe he got like a kilo. Yeah. Never even got to play with either those girls. Although maybe he and Dawn Wells got it on once,
I don't think so.
No, you don't. I think Ginger just
because you don't make those
snared one of
videos
those,
shows anymore, do you?
No. I stopped that. And then they brought in those 2 other people, and Daisy and that nice guy John, a comic. They did it for 2 years,
right?
And I was a free man. I went off and did some directing,
But they still run the ones with you.
Yes, they don't run them very much. They'll run theirs probably late at night on the Golf Channel or something.
Yeah. On the Golf Channel.
Something that you can hit mute.
And Full House is another one of those shows that is going to run.
It will
in
run
perpetuity.
Probably forever.
It'll be on forever. Did you get a piece of that?
Excuse me?
Did you get a piece of that?
Oh, I didn't know you meant money. I'm sorry. No. We were all hired hands. We were all paid as actors. You get residuals.
How
but
old
no,
were you
I was not on that show.
when you started on that?
I was 29 to 30.
But so you've been kicking around in the business for.
I've been trying to get a job for 10 years.
It's the late Bob Saget. Danny Tanner's best friend on Full House was Joey Gladstone, the lovable, goofy best friend of Danny who moved into the Tanner house to help raise Danny's daughters after their mom passed away. Joey, known for his big heart, his childlike spirit, and endless love for comedy. He was a professional comedian in real life and on the show, always cracking jokes, doing silly voices, and lightening the mood when things got tough. We had a chance to visit with David Coulier.
It still runs every minute of every day on several planets and other countries.
Yeah, I know. It's actually on 16 times a day, and I know that sounds like a joke, but it's on Teen Nick on Nickelodeon, and it's on ABC Family, and then if you add them up during the course of the day, it's on 16 times a day. And the weird thing about Full House is not only is it on still in over 100 countries around the world, but here domestically, it just kind of keeps regenerating this fan base. So I'll have people say, my 3, my 4, my 5-year-old still watches they're just starting to watch Full House now.
If you'd have known that it was something that would live in perpetuity, would you have had a different hairstyle?
Absolutely. But you know what? That was a hockey haircut back then.
Yes, and you still play.
And I still play, yeah. So, I mean, that was the cool haircut. But sweaters were just god-awful.
It worked for Cosby.
It did.
So
it did.
But being on in other countries, I imagine you've probably had those recognition experiences abroad where everything is so foreign to begin with, that makes it even weirder.
I was in a park. I was walking in London, England. I was walking through a park, and there were a bunch of French students, a group of maybe 50 or 60 of them, and they were saying, La fête de la maison, la fête de la maison, and they're pointing at me, and I'm like, the party in the house, the party in the house. And they ran up, and that's what the show is called in France, The Party in the House.
Yeah.
And so I remember just thinking, this is so odd. I've never been to London, England before, and here's these foreign exchange students recognizing me. It was a weird thing.
Have you seen it dubbed in like Arabic and Japanese?
I have. The Japanese is probably the funniest.
I mean,
Bullwinkle. Yeah, it just doesn't.
That's just
translate.
one of the girls.
Yeah, that's
actually.
that's how all the girls sound. Yeah.
Did you film in San Francisco, or was that just the exterior shots?
We shot just the exteriors. Yeah, just the opening titles up there. But we the first 3 seasons we were at Sony, and then the remaining 5 we were at Warner Brothers.
Moving into the other show and doing the funniest people and the funniest videos, and there were a couple of spinoffs that you hosted, right?
I did World's Funniest Videos.
Funniest divorce cases, I think was something like that.
Funniest shoes. It's coming up next. Flip-flops for everybody.
But you got to be you, which was probably refreshing, or at least somewhat like you. I'm sure there was a script you had to work off, but you got to be Dave Coulier.
Yeah, I did. I got to I'll tell you what, the producers on Full House were so generous that after the first season, they just kind of trusted me that I would, because we would get on the stage and we'd have kind of an idea, a process where, oh, maybe this will work, this little sketch we're trying to do here in the kitchen. And then I would come up with something on the stage. And then by season 2, they would just write into the script, Dave will come up with something funny here.
Really?
Yeah. So for me, it was like comedy college. It was just like being able to have this wonderful resource all around me of, hey, I need a funny prop here. And I'd tell the prop guy and he'd bring me a weird trombone or something. So it was great. I
haven't heard that term since prison.
Yeah. Bring me a trombone.
That's right.
I'm John Carney, and this is The Theme Machine. We dive into sitcoms this week, and we go from a truly believable family in the Tanners to a household with an astronaut and a genie. A Dream of Jeannie from the 1960s had a bit of a bumbling astronaut who, as luck would have it, finds a bottle with a beautiful genie in it. But who hasn't, right? And I think it's based on a true story. The show starred Larry Hagman, who later went on to become the not-so-nice JR from Dallas, and Barbara Eden, who was already pretty well established as an actress and a stage performer. This role was very different indeed.
For somebody who studied classical voice training and acting and really wanted to get away from the pageantry stuff of the Miss San Francisco, and you get cast, at least initially on paper, the look of I Dream of Jeannie, it's like, oh, this has nothing to do with my singing. You're just hiring me because I'm cute. I have very little clothes on. Did you have fears going into that, or was it?
Oh, absolutely not.
If you look at I Dream of Jeannie as a concept on paper, I would think it seemed rather asinine. Did it not?
No.
Really? I mean, it was
Oh, absolutely not.
obviously a great show, and it still runs in syndication, and it had a huge 5-year run, and I loved the show. But I just can't imagine a written description of this program garnering excitement from you or from anybody. It seemed odd, really odd.
That's why it was wonderful. It was odd, and it was fantasy. You know, Sidney Sheldon was no dummy. He wrote wonderful stories, and this was a fantasy. It was a story. Actually, I had been reading in the Variety about the quest for this character, Jeannie, and they were testing, Miss Italy, Miss Morocco, Miss Israel, Miss Greece, no blondes, all very tall, leggy brunettes. And I just thought, oh, that's nice. I didn't give it another thought. And then my agent sent me a script one day and said, read this quickly. They're very interested in you for a part, and they would like you to, if you're interested, to have lunch with Sidney Sheldon. And I read the script, and I loved it. It was just darling, and I could see what could be done with it. And I called back, and I said, I like it. I really like it, but are you sure they know what I look like? And he said, well, they're very interested. So I went down, and I had tea, actually, with Sidney Sheldon, and the next day I had the job.
Where was Larry Hagman's career? Was he anyone that people knew?
Not at the time. No, not at the time. In fact, I did his test with him for the show, and he was wonderful. I was guesting on another television show. I don't remember what it was, at Universal, and they had Sidney had Larry come over and rehearse with me between shots because they were very interested in him. They thought he was a young Jack Lemmon, actually, and of course he got the part.
And that ran for 5 seasons. Was it a top-rated show? Because I'm surprised that shows like MASH and others that we revere as some of the best television ever made never cracked the top 5 or 10.
We were in the top 10 a couple of years. Most of the time not, in the top 15.
The funny part is most of those shows that were in the top 5, top 10, they're not running like Jeannie is to this very day.
It's never been off the air.
Yeah.
I wish I owned it.
I'm John Carney, and this is the Theme Machine. And we look at sitcoms through the years this week, along with the film American Graffiti, Happy Days, which aired from 1974 to 1984, really best captured the 50s and early 60s. Set in Milwaukee, the show followed the life of teenager Richie Cunningham and his family, along with his friends, including the ultra-cool biker Arthur Fonzie Fonzarelli. Fonzie quickly became the show's big breakout star with a leather jacket, thumbs-up gesture, and his big motorcycle, which, as I learned, he couldn't handle so well.
Obviously, the jacket is in the Smithsonian, for goodness
Yeah, I
sake.
just went to visit it.
Is there, they don't charge you, do they, when you go in?
No, I got in free, but I did buy the ice cream that the astronauts eat.
Which I'm sure is just delicious.
Yeah, fast frozen, you can't tell the difference.
Chase that down with a Tang, and you're Neil Armstrong. And if I'm not mistaken, I remember a conversation with you where I thought you confessed to me that the Fonz, when he was the Fonz in the beginning, didn't know how to ride one.
That is exactly right. I don't know how to ride one to this day. We're in Morocco. We have Vespas, and I get on a Vespa, and I hate it. And I'm not comfortable with it. I'm dyslexic, so I can't figure out the speed and the handlebar and the clutch and the thing. I broke my Vespa. I threw it down into the desert sand and wrecked it.
And I just can imagine how surreal it would be for anyone to see the Fonz on a scooter.
Yeah, see, but I'm an actor, and so I acted like I knew what I was doing, but I don't.
That's Henry Winkler, and this is the Theme Machine. Richie's parents on Happy Days were Tom Bosley as the dad, and Marion Ross as Marion Cunningham. I guess keeping the same first name was easiest. Not unlike Barbara Eden, who we heard from earlier, Miss Ross had a very successful career in acting before Happy Days. But it was that show that really cemented her as one of America's favorite moms, a program that ran for over a decade.
We were on 11 seasons.
So at what point did you realize that this wasn't going to be a one-season show and out?
After about 2 years, we were all kind of complaining about something, and the producer called us. The online producer called us into his office. We're all sitting there on the floor, and we're everywhere, and everybody's grumbling about something, and overworked and tired. And he said, "You have to cooperate because we have a hit on our hands."
Henry Winkler had done the show, and I was surprised to learn he told me he couldn't ride a motorcycle, but he also told me that his role in Happy Days in the beginning was almost a one-off, and he tested so well with the audiences, the Fonz became a character because of public demand.
Absolutely. He walked off with that show in his pocket with something, because when he first started, he didn't even have any lines. He looked at himself in the mirror and found himself perfect, put his comb back in his pocket, and, he had a little gabardine jacket, not a leather jacket. Now, the Fonz took off with that show.
All of you were such memorable characters on the show, and I wonder if today's sensitivities and the hashtag #MeToo movement, and if something like Happy Days was rolled out today, would America watch it?
See, that's the big question if you're a producer, isn't it? What works? What makes something work? If we knew, we could do it all the time, couldn't you? Otherwise, it's just pretty magical. Tom and I, we said to Garry Marshall, "Can't we have more to do in the show than we have?" No, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's about the kids. So we accepted our little couple. We'd have a couple of scenes, a couple of jokes,
I was a little surprised to learn that one of my takeaways from your work on that show in the beginning was your relationship with Tom Bosley was good, but he wasn't exactly the nicest to you to start with.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. And I have a feeling that I am pretty much of a softie, so I wasn't good at handling him. And he could get to me. And I was used to being treated just so sweetly all the time. And he would kind of nag me all the time, like a perfectly good husband. But I really learned to love Tom. We were very, very. We made an absolutely perfect couple, didn't we?
Indeed. I know you did some stage work with Gene Stapleton, and if there was anyone I had to hold up as someone that could relate to your experience as America's TV mom, it was hers, the head of the Bunker family. Did you guys talk about this, or was that before the experience for you?
Oh, no. Oh, she was a very, very dear friend, because we toured. We toured the United States, starting on Broadway and going all the way across the United States. So we got to become very close, very good friends. What a smart woman she was. And she had to handle a lot, can you imagine? And being plain. In fact, she hated it if the public would call her Edith. She didn't like that at all, because she was not stupid. She was not like Edith at all.
And I think no one would say that of either one of you. Yet I can't help, and I mean no disrespect here, but it seems like your character had a dash of ditzy, just like Edith.
Oh yes, you're right. And I think women in the 50s, we played that up a little bit. So that was our protective way of getting to do how we could run everything, because we pretend we didn't get it. We didn't get it, And meanwhile, we're running everything. Women now can be much more honest. In those days, women were very dishonest.
That's Marion Ross. I'm John Carney, and this is the Theme Machine. This time we channel surf through the ages and bring you the voices behind some of America's favorite sitcoms over the years. We've heard from several actors, but let's give some credit where credit's due and hear from a couple of the creators. Sherwood Schwartz, for example, legendary TV producer and writer best known for creating The Brady Bunch and Gilligan's Island, among other things. He started as a comedy writer for The Bob Hope Show, and he made a huge impact when he moved into television. In fact, Gilligan's Island and The Brady Bunch were the first two he created out of the chute. And not only was he the creator of these iconic programs, he also wrote their catchy theme songs.
The theme to the show, and it seems to still hold true, that all of the shows that are really popular, or most of them, have snappy themes. And I don't know if it's chicken or the egg. The show's good because it's got a good theme, or the theme's good because it's a good show. But certainly the Gilligan's Island theme, most memorable. How did you come to write that? And did you have a musical background?
No, I had no musical background, but I had the wolf knocking at the door. I had to provide a theme in order to let the executives know what I was talking about. Because I would say to them, a theme song will cover the backstory. The enemy of entertainment is exposition. And if you have to explain why these 7 particular people are on that little boat, it would be boring every week. So I would say to the CBS executives, I will have a song written, and that will explain it. So you never have to talk about backstory. And so as soon as an episode starts, you will know about it because an entertaining theme song will explain it.
I would think, though, that money's not an issue. I mean, if you just the fact that you wrote the theme to Gilligan's Island, that alone, as much as it's played, as much as it's sung, as much as it's used, that's pulling in more jack than Bobby Vinton and Blue on Blue. If you never did anything else, writing the theme to Gilligan's Island, I think you'd be just fine.
Yeah, and also the Brady Bunch.
And the Brady Bunch theme.
Sorry.
It is amazing to me, though, that they never did kill Gilligan. I started thinking about imponderables like that, how they never killed him, how other people were able to get on and off the island every week, yet they were stranded. And Gilligan and the skipper always had very bright shirts. How come the shirts never faded in 3 years?
Well, they had this special kind of sunshine there.
Okay. And get the important questions out of the way. When you finally came up with the concept to Gilligan's Island in like 63 and took it to the networks and CBS, they didn't seem to be as open door as one would think with your track record.
Well, it was an unusual show. The one thing that an executive of any, and even now, at a network of any sort, the one thing they don't want to do is something original. Because that's saying, I like this and I'm going to put it on. They're much more comfortable if somebody comes in and says, hey, this was a big hit in Brazil, and I think it'll go over well in the United States. They are interested.
Right.
And that's how a lot of shows get on here, because they were on in England first or Belgium first. But my show was radically different, and it had no antecedent, Gilligan's Island.
Because there was no predecessor,
No, that's right.
it only begs the question, though, where did the concept come from?
Came out of my head. Came out of my head, because I think the most important thing in the whole world, it's true now, is how do people learn to get along with each other? Nations, neighborhoods, whatever. How do people get along with each other? So I invented this social microcosm of people who are from very different walks of life. This show has a very serious basis. Even though you don't see the themes, nevertheless, it's knitted into the fabric of the show.
I had heard, and I don't know if it's one of those urban myths or things, but I had read a couple of places that Jerry Van Dyke actually was first up for the role that Bob Denver took.
Yes, I didn't even know Bob Denver at that time, and I didn't really personally know Jerry Van Dyke, but I had seen him as a guest on his brother's show, and I thought that it's funny because he has the look of a guy who should be wearing a sweatshirt, and his brother is always well-dressed, and you expect them to have either a tie or a jacket or something.
Yeah.
They're very opposite-looking and acting guys. So I sent for him. He was in Texas at that time doing a stand-up. And he came out here being Hollywood, and I thought he was going to be Gilligan. But his agent said, forget it, that show is never going to go anywhere. And he told him to take a different show, which was My Mother the Car.
I stumbled across a couple of those early critiques from the papers, the LA Times, saying Gilligan's Island is a show that should have never reached the airwaves this season or any other. The San Francisco Chronicle, difficult to believe the show was written, directed, and produced by adults. At that point, I mean, everyone's a little fragile. Everyone has an ego. That had to hurt you.
Of course it hurt me. But I'll tell you what really helps you if something hurts you. If you try to tend to other people's hurts. Because I knew the cast was really reeling from these reviews. And so I spent my time reassuring the cast that critics' opinion have no bearing on a show.
Wasn't the pilot shot in Hawaii?
Yes.
Okay, and I remember because I believe VH1 did a special on it, like a 2-hour special. Was it that or E, True Hollywood Stories?
Yes.
On that, and they talked about doing the pilot and how it had gone well over budget and it took longer than originally expected.
One of the reasons it took that long is on the last day of shooting, the president was assassinated. We were filming in Hawaii, and word came down. Somebody just ran onto the sand, which was our set, and said President Kennedy was assassinated. So our reaction was, don't come here with these jokes, we're busy. So we now had to extend the shooting because they closed down the harbor in Honolulu, which is the last 2 days of shooting were in the harbor.
That's TV creator Sherwood Schwartz, and this is The Theme Machine. I'm John Carney. Another great creative mind responsible for a lot of our favorite shows over the years was Garry Marshall. He introduced most of the world to Robin Williams with Mork and Mindy, which was a spin-off of Laverne and Shirley, which was a spin-off of Happy Days. It's a lot of spinning. And a couple of those shows was another Marshall. Penny was Gary's sister.
Working with family, something not foreign to you, certainly. Producing Shirley and Laverne with your sister. I have always been told that working with family and loaning friends money are things you're never supposed to do.
Well, that's true, but sometimes you just enjoy it. I think it's hard work, and it's sometimes you fail. And when you fail, it's nice to have family around because, they're part of your family, and their job is to be supportive. Some don't do their job, but mine did, so I enjoyed working with them. And my sister's very talented, my sister Penny, and my sister Ronnie works with us. She produces all the stuff.
You look at produced shows you're responsible for in the 1970s. Happy Days, Odd Couple, Mork and Mindy. It's just crazy. Laverne and Shirley. So what were you drinking at the time? How do we tap into that kind of success?
Well, you got to get the people to work with, and my mother was dancing and could tell me when I was 6 years old. She'd say, "That's funny. This girl is funny. This girl is not. That's a good guy. He can sing. He can't." And she kind of trained me when I was a kid of at least having some sort of ability to pick talent. And many times I missed. But sometimes I did me and the chimp. I picked the wrong chimp, to be honest. But so I could cast people better than animals. But I think I was very, very fortunate in the 70s to have a lot of hits and work with a lot of people.
What was the best ensemble you put together? I mean, it's a way around asking you your favorite show.
Well, it depends. The best ensemble I ever put together was Happy Days as far as people enjoying that they were working, and the most pleasant human beings you'd ever want to meet, led by Ron Howard and Henry Winkler, who are two of the most pleasant human beings I've ever met. But then the shows were difficult, but Happy Days was a great group.
Not only did Garry Marshall give us some unforgettable TV, he was also responsible for films like Pretty Woman, Princess Diaries, Beaches, and Runaway Bride. So much television, such little time. It would seem that we just scratched the surface this week with our look at sitcoms through the years. We'll revisit the subject, well, sooner than you think. Don't worry, I got you Seinfeld fans covered as well. Next time on the Theme Machine, it's part 2 of our favorite sitcoms, and I promise, no Pink Lady and Jeff, or Blansky's Beauties, for that matter. Production assistance from Everett Marshall Creative. I'm John Carney, and be sure to follow us on your socials. Visit the website at thethememachine.net. Thanks for listening. Be good to each other.